Welcome back. I'm Jay, and I'm glad that you guys are tuning back in for another segment. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so at the unboundblog.com, or you can also subscribe below. In my last video on self-esteem, I talked about the one thing that you can take to help rebuild your self-esteem. And that one thing that I decided to focus on was how you can take one characteristic that you like about yourself, one thing that you can offer a partner or a spouse or someone else, one thing you can offer up, one thing that makes you beautiful, and hone in on that one thing instead of focusing on everything else that you feel that makes you uglier or makes you less confident, or the things that you would consider to be flaws. Just hone in on that one thing and ignore everything else, and that will get you a step closer to where you need to be. So the springboard off of that, today I want to talk to you about getting rid of that negative self-talk, even when you are honing in and focusing on the one thing that you feel is great about yourself. Every day, all day long, we have these conversations with ourselves, and it's either telling us we can do it or we can't do it, depending on, and it doesn't matter what it is, depending on your situation, depending on what you're concentrating on, you are either having a conversation with yourself that says, yes, I can, or no, I can't. And I want to help you to get rid of that. The first thing we have to do is identify your negative self-talk. So I want you to find a quiet place. I don't care if it's your car, maybe you got to sit in the bathroom, put the toilet seat down and sit in the bathroom quietly. Maybe you have an extra spare room, or your basement, wherever it is, the attic. Make sure you have a fan up there when you sit down. But wherever you have to go to, find a quiet place to sit and be with your thoughts. Just to sit and literally just think. Think about what you are saying to yourself. Think about how you feel. Think about what's actually in your heart and in your mind. This is your inner voice. These are the things that are constantly replaying in your mind, that is either pushing you forward or is pulling you backwards from where you actually want to go. So we have to identify the things that we are telling ourselves. And then I want you to get a sheet of paper and get a pencil and begin to jot down those things that you are saying to yourself. Now, you maybe want to split the paper in half. So have two columns, right? Two columns, split it directly in half. And on one side, take your pencil and write down what you told yourself that day. And maybe you want to do this over 3 days. Maybe you want to do this over a week. However long it takes for you to build a catalog and a record of your own thoughts, right? So 3 days to a week, write down each day, at the end of each day, what you are currently telling yourself and how you currently feel. And then in the other column, once you have that full record over the last 3 days or the last week, once you have that full record, and that other blank column, I want you to write down what would be the opposite, right? So we're going to flip it. What will be the opposite of that thought? So wherever you say I can, or rather whether you say I can't, you're going to write I can. And I just thought about this just now. We are often great advice givers when it comes to our friends, when it comes to our family, when it comes to our lovers, when it comes to our coworkers. But then we go home and we're often struggling with the same exact things, or struggling in similar areas. So I also want you to write, in addition to flipping that thought and writing the opposite of that thought, I also want you to write what advice you would give a friend, right? So if someone told you, hey, listen, this is exactly what I'm thinking, and here's what I tell myself on a regular basis. Here's the situation I'm in. Hey, I'm stuck. I need some help. What advice would you give that person? And whatever comes to mind, jot that down also in that column. So the opposite of the thought, as well as the advice you would give to someone else who was in the same situation as you. And we're going to begin to take these things and use these things to help reprogram how we think and reprogram our self-dialogue in our heads day to day. It's very important to have the right message going on in your head in order to get you to where you essentially want to be. And that's a better place, a more positive place, just a better state of well-being for yourself. And this record is going to help move you in that right direction to eliminate that negative self-talk. And then eventually, once you can get down a nice, good, juicy list, we're going to start to take that pencil. That's why I said a pencil, not a pen, not a marker, not a Sharpie. a pencil, and then we're going to begin to each day, we're going to read the thought that we should have and the advice that we should be taking, and we're going to physically erase the previous thing that we thought and reread that second column. Erase, reread, erase, reread, erase, reread. And over time, you will begin to reprogram yourself. This is good stuff. Reprogram yourself to have a more functional, positive growth mindset and positive self-talk going on within. Just giving you something to think about.